Hi, this is Peter Propp, and welcome to 10-Minute Strategy. Just started the timer, and we're here with my friend Matt Curtin, who is the CEO and founder of Social Smack. So, Matt, did I get your title right?
Yep, you got my title right. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Great. So why don't you, in your own words, tell people what Social Smack is all about, and then we can get into some of the uses you found in your early stages here.
Sure. I think the quick explanation on it is that Social Smack is like real-time social consumer reports. So it's really people sharing the experiences that they have with brands, sharing those experiences with their friends, and engaging the brands in the conversation.
Right.
And it's really meant to drive these micro reviews, quick thumbs up, quick thumbs down.
Excellent. And so you've been in existence for how long so far?
So we launched the company in September out at Demo, and we've now got a team of four of us. So we've been going full on hardcore since September.
Excellent. And how you had the idea for this? How much further before you launched?
Gosh, this was about 18 months ago. I came up with this idea that there's got to be a better way for consumers to connect with brands. We all know that brands have lost control of the message, but at the same time, consumers are getting lost in all of this noise across Twitter and Facebook.
Right.
So I've been refining the idea for about 18 months now, and we're full on into it.
Right. So you're sort of covering or attempting to bridge the difference between data about consumer opinions and behavior versus how does that individual actually feel? Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I think that is. We in large part define ourselves by, the brands that we engage with to some degree.
Right.
And, people, they have a distinct feeling about, their Apple iPad and a distinct feeling about the Nike running shoes that they chose over the Adidas running shoes. And we're really giving them a platform to share that experience, share how they feel, amplify their voice out there, and engage their friends in the conversation about the brands that they spend their hard-earned money on.
Interesting. And so it's you really can get into some qualitative sort of stuff in terms of the consumer's opinion. I know when I've used the system, you don't really allow someone to vote unless they say something, right? They have to.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't. So that's the idea. I like your addressing the qualitative component of it. It's the reason we chose a very binary thumbs up. We call that giving props. Thumbs down, we call that giving drops. And the reason that we did that is that it drives to a really quick signal for a brand to understand. It's not this kludgy 5-star rating system that a 3 stars means I don't know what.
Right.
It's very, very clear, and then you've got a nice micro review wrapped around it.
Right. And so, what is the current breakdown in terms of your system from, local versus national brands, from consumer brands versus political? I know there's some political stuff that's on there.
Yeah.
Where you? I mean, this year it must be crazy, but how are you seeing it in general? Maybe leave off the last 2 weeks.
Sure. So in general, we think about brands as people, places, things. They're all those things that you buy, see, and do or engage with every day. And so we really want the community to be able to drive and define what those brands are that they really want to talk about, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right.
And so the breakdown is really, over 90% of the data that we're seeing is around consumer brands specifically. So politics aside, there's a small component of that, but it's really wrapped around kind of these consumer brands. And then within those data, what we're finding is that there's a huge amount of small to medium-sized business brands, whether they're company brands or product brands that are being plugged into the system. And that's creating a really neat effect of not just driving these ratings and reviews, but also driving brand discovery at the small to medium-sized business level.
Right. So how does your system work in terms of? I'd like to get in the scenario. Let's take a consumer scenario. So
Sure.
I hear about Social Smack, and obviously I had an experience with out of the KFC Double Down. Not that I've had one yet, but let's use that as an example. The KFC Double Down, I had an experience. It gave me wonderful feelings or heartburn, one or the other. I go to the site and what?
So the idea is that you have this unique experience, and it's either a good one or it's a bad one, right? Because we're pretty binary creatures. We either like something or we don't like it.
Right.
So you go in, you emote that sentiment, and the idea is to be heard, to empower the passionate consumer to be heard, right? So if you connect your Facebook account, if you connect your Twitter account, you're really emoting your sentiment on Social Smack. You're sharing the thought with the brand, but then you're amplifying your voice out to both. And what we're finding is that brands are listening for the most part. They're really listening on Twitter. And so we're really kind of pulling the brand into the discussion on Social Smack because it is a really pure channel just for brand discussions, as to where Twitter is kind of, just this environment where there's 75 million tweets a day and nobody knows what there's no cohesive conversation happening there.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's really the idea is in the moment when you have that experience with a brand, either through our Apple, through the iPhone mobile app or through the Android mobile app or through the web application, you're providing a quick micro review that you're sharing not just with your friends, but you're also sharing that with the brands that you're engaging.
Right. And do you do any sort of work within your system to try to coalesce like all the KFC stuff together as an example? Do you try to make it easy for those brands to engage with you guys?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're working on now is a heavy emphasis on the analytics. Mm-hmm. So that, you take a parent brand, a company brand like Procter & Gamble that has thousands of SKUs in their product portfolio.
Right.
It's really tough for them to track all of the noise out there, right? Brands right now are drowning in a sea of social media, and the idea is that we're trying to throw them a life ring, and we're trying to, coalesce, create one cohesive environment where all of these brand topics or these experiences are being discovered and shared, and then enable them to come in and claim their page and really respond to all of the feedback that the consumers are giving them.
Right. I want to touch on claiming their page in a second.
Sure.
I was also just curious about, have you figured out a way to deal with mistyped product names or things like that? Or how is that one of the issues you've been dealing with?
I wouldn't call it an issue. I'd call it maybe a headache.
Well,
mentioned early. Yeah, it's there's two ways that we're trying to solve for that. So early on, the idea was to crowdsource all the brand information and enable people to upload brands because they're very passionate about, especially about some of these small to medium-sized businesses that they support. But what we're finding over time is that we are going to have to purchase and upload brand data into the system to make sure that we've got not just the right taxonomy and structure, but actually the correct names, and we don't have duplicate data in the system. So yeah, part of it's controlled by the code, the machine. The other part of it is just really a lot of good hard work around human curation.
Right. We'll get what is your situation in terms of U.S. versus international participation so far? Is it primarily U.S.?
It's primarily U.S. The way it's been designed is really just an English. It's in English currently.
Right.
One thing that we're finding and we're astounded by is the tremendous amount of traffic coming from Brazil. It was something that we hadn't anticipated, and we're very excited about it. Actually,
really?
We've got people coming in from Turkey, from Germany, seeing a lot of activity from the UK. But the Brazil thing is kind of perplexing, and it's actually very exciting at the same time.
Right.
It really it plays into this thesis that people love talking smack about the things that they buy, see, and do, and it's not just people in the States.
Right. Exactly. And we're going to end in just a second. When we come back for part 2 of this, we're going to start talking a little more about the demographics and things like that. So Matt, thanks so much for part 1 of our discussion. We'll start recording part 2 in just a second. Thanks everyone for being here with us on 10 Minute Strategy. We're here with Matt Curtin, the CEO of Social Smack. My name is Peter Propp.